guys, quick little video, small topic today. I know I haven't been producing a lot in the way of videos lately. I've just been super busy, what can I say? But I am hopeful that we're going to get a few meatier videos coming down the pike. But for today, I've made a small change. I wanted to make a little video about it because it's cool and it's fun. So I have started using plugins in the DAW, but I'm using them in the analog mix. So I'm not using them in the typical signal flow. And what I mean by that is normally, even if you're doing a hybrid situation, when you're running plugins, usually you're doing them in the box and then just sending whatever you have, maybe an effects bus out to your analog board and just blending it into the mix there. So that's fine, and I do still do that with certain kinds of effects, choruses, delays, flangers, what have you, pitch shifting stuff. But what I have never been very happy about is when using reverbs, having to send before the individual channels hit the analog processing. Really, I want to hit it after it's hit the analog EQ and compression. And my first move was to get outboard processors. So, I have the Lexicon PCM92 and then the MPX1 below it. What I do is I dedicate the MPX1 to drums, which I do on this sidecar situation with the SSL X-Desk, and the PCM92, richer, higher quality, is sort of my main reverb, and that happens over here. And so the drum reverb, it actually returns to this mixer, so this whole thing injects into the mix bus at the summing input. So it's arriving, with bus compression, which I'm doing on the Fatso, and I'm actually doing that in parallel. So I'm sending a stereo mix to the Fatso, and then I'm blending that in at like a parallel compression that has its own return volume. And then I'm sending the reverb, also stereo, and doing the same thing, blending that in here on the effects returns. Then all of that is, shipped out, basically compressed, reverbed, finished to the mix bus, and it goes through all the mix bus processing with everything that's on the API box console. So that's great, and that's been working fine. The only limitation, obviously, is that I can't really share them. So, this doesn't go to the PCM92, and nothing here goes to the MPX1. That's okay, not really that big a deal. But, one reverb doesn't really do everything I need it to do. I really want to have more than one. So, my first instinct was to, let me use another piece of hardware, outboard gear. But I have so many good plugins, and that I really wanted to be able to use them. There's just such a wide variety of sounds. So what I'm doing is I'm sending from, I have one stereo send, basically 1 and 2 are going to the PCM92, and then 3 and 4 I'm sending those with the patch bay. You can't really,
interesting question.
Yeah, you can't really see it. It's underneath here, but just take my word for it. I'm sending from aux 3 and 4 back into inputs on my interface, and then I use Nuendo, which is basically Cubase. So they're coming back on input channels there, aux 3 and 4. And then on Cubase, there are dedicated channel types for FX, but because I need the input to feed directly to a channel, I'm using a standard audio channel, and then I'm just leaving that channel in input mode so that the audio passes through the plugin. And then I'm busing that back to channels on the API so that it actually blends into the mix. Now, so effectively, the plugin is operating exactly the same way as an outboard reverb. But the only difference being that you do have to deal with any latency being introduced by the computer, by the DAW. And I do tend to have some latency, either because I have the buffer that wide open, or from particularly hungry plugins that just introduce a lot of latency. And you don't get the benefit of the plugin delay compensation because you're actually leaving the computer and coming back. So that's actually, it's important to realize that, it's important to know that, but then where it comes to reverb in particular, and no other effect, but with reverb, you can actually just compensate for that. So I mean, on a longer reverb, like a hall, I will typically use a longer pre-delay. If those of you who pay attention to Chris Lord-Alge, he's had a video talking about how one of his techniques is to run his vocal, like a longer vocal reverb with a long pre-delay, 50 milliseconds or maybe even more, and that way you get this dry front of the vocal that doesn't get washed out in the reverb, but you have this rich tail to it. So that's I normally operate that way anyway. So what you can do is, where you would normally have a 50 millisecond pre-delay, you can just crank that pre-delay down and let the natural delay in the DAW act as the pre-delay. So in that way, reverb is not upset by the delay of your DAW, and you're fine. But reverb's pretty much the only effect where that really works. I mean, you could do that with a delay, but it's going to screw up exactly when it's hitting, so reverb's really the only one that really works for. So that's the gist of what I wanted to talk about today. Here, I'll show you some examples. I mean, this is still my iPhone, but this is a really beautiful piece of music. The artist is James Popik, and he's doing this entire suite called the Sourland Symphony. It's all instrumental, it's all acoustic. He plays acoustic guitar very, very well, and he's got a host of really virtuosic players on this thing. And he's been recording it for a number of years, and we're finally mixing it all, and it's exciting. Here, I'll show you right now, and it's worth mentioning. The violinist on this piece is a guy named Joe Denizen, who is just amazing. He's in the New York area. The Who hires him when they're in town. And as a matter of fact, he was here recording about a month ago, and about a week after he was here, the band Kansas hired him full-time. So if you want to see him, go buy a ticket to see Kansas, and you'll see some absolutely incredible violin playing. But so here, let's check this out. So I'm running 2 reverbs, the PCM 92, and then this is the one from the plugin. And as you can see, the plugin is the Lexicon PCM suite, which I love so much. I really think it's an incredible reverb package, and I'm very sad that Lexicon seems to be non-existent. You know, they've stopped supporting their software. They seem to have stopped upgrading their software, and it sucks because this is fantastic. I have, you know, the UAD emulations of the 480 and things like that, and those are nice, but this is the real deal. This is the best plug-in version of Lexicon Reverb that exists anywhere, and you know, it's hanging on by a thread. I really hope that they keep updating it, and you know, we'll see. But here we go. So if I pull all the ambience out, get very dry. Now this is the PCM92. Very rich. I love it. It's a very high quality reverb. Back to dry. And here's the plugin. Again, really gorgeous. And they're different. The plugin, I mean, it's just the settings that I have, but it's not as pillowy as what I have on the 92. Together, they're beautiful. It's a really nice ambience. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the content. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and you know, from what I understand, YouTube sends me my Orphan Annie decoder ring when I get 1,000, so that'll be fun. I'm gonna try to, like I said, do some more in-depth videos coming up. It's just been tough because it's been super busy here. But one of the things I'd really like to do is do some A/B comparisons of some of the different analog EQs that we have. I mean, we have these three varieties of APIs, the BAE 73s, which I love, and these Helios, which are really special. They're just amazing. So I would love to do some of that. And I'm teasing it, and I really hope I'll get the time to do it with you. But you know, it's all good. Work is work. So take care, everybody. And again, thanks for the eyeballs, and thanks for following. And please, yeah, hit me up in the comments, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.